Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be doing our Week 7 2024 college football predictions. We'll go over every single game for every one of the top 25 teams. We will break them down, we will react to them, and we'll try to predict the outcome for the games, who's going to win, who's going to lose, and what the final scores will be. We'll also look at the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Like I said, every week we go over every single college football game, and we also do the same thing for every NFL game every week, the whole 2024 season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along with us. So Week 6 is in the books. There was 5 of the top 11 teams went down last week. Massive upsets. College football right now is following in the steps of the NFL. Major upsets happening every week. This week could potentially go along the same way. We have some really big games coming up in Week 7. So let's get started running through them. The very first matchup we have is a Friday night game on ESPN at 10:30. This is a late one. We have number 16, 4-1 Utah Utes playing 4-1 Arizona. Props to Arizona for being 4-1 right now. If they win this game, obviously, this is going to be a ranked team for Dillingham come next week. Right now, though, the Utes are the favorite. They have a 51.4% chance to win this game. They are 6.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 45.5. This is a tough one, though, because we don't know who's even going to be starting for Utah. Cam Rising, when he plays on this team, is a complete difference maker for the offense. He's a 15-year senior. The guy's about 40 years old right now. But the issue is, when he doesn't play, this offense is completely stuck in the mud. Wilson hasn't played too bad at the backup quarterback position, but it's just not the same. However, since Cam Rising went down, he's been questionable, possibly playing for the last 3-4 weeks now. I'm kind of getting sick of it. Why do they keep teasing the fan base like that, saying that he might play, he might not play? He has a stranglehold on this team. The guy's been there so long. He's only played maybe 1/10 of his whole career. He's always hurt. At least Utah knows they can run the ball with Bernard. He's closing in on 600 yards so far through their first 5 games. He is a difference maker. They also have Singer, but Arizona State's having a really good season this year. They have Levitt, they have Skateboard, they have Tyson. They have the weapons there at quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Utah right now, they average 28.4 per game. A solid top 15 defense under Kyle Whittingham, one of the most underappreciated head coaches in the country. They're giving up 15 points a game. For Arizona State, they're averaging 33.2, and they're giving up 23.8. Utah, whether it's Cam Rising or not, we're kind of going into this game blind because we don't know who the quarterback is. I'm going to bet on him playing because they're coming off the bye. He should be healthy. The guy only hurt his finger. I have Utah winning this one 28-20, keeping the ball on the ground, sucking up clock, and beating the Sun Devils. The next matchup, we'll be moving on to our Saturday games on ABC at 12 p.m. 3-2 South Carolina Gamecocks. Shane Beamer's definitely feeling a hit right now. They've had a solid season so far, but they're getting into SEC schedule, so the schedule's only getting rougher. They'll be on the road at 12 p.m. versus number 7 Alabama Crimson Tide, who sits at 4-1. Alabama, they're coming off of that awful loss versus Vanderbilt. The biggest upset of probably the last decade from what I can think of. They have a 91% chance to win this game. They are 21-point favorites. That's a massive spread there for an SEC game. The over-under here is 50.5. Looking at the Gamecocks, this is a Gamecocks team that's not that bad. Yes, they're coming off of a pretty decent loss versus Ole Miss. They got beat, what's that, 27-3 or something like that. They had a lot of issues moving the ball on offense, but they're not a bad team overall. They almost beat LSU earlier this season. Right now, they average 28 points a game. Solid defense, giving up 19 points a game. Crimson Tide, we know they're going to have an elite offense. They have Milroe, they have Miller, they have Williams. They're averaging 44.6 points a game, 286.6 through the air, 194.2 on the ground, and their defense is giving up 20 points per game. That's really bad for Alabama standards. We know that Nick Saban always had a top 10, top 20 defense. That's not so much the case right now. They've been giving up a lot of yards, a lot of points, especially the last 2 weeks. They've given up over 30 points, 40 points last week to Vanderbilt. They got pushed around at the line of scrimmage. They were up 28-0 versus Georgia. Let them come all the way back. Let them get the lead. I said last week, we're going to see how great of a coach Kalen DeBoer is so far. Saban, off of the emotional win of Georgia, would have had his team focused. Win, lose, no matter what, you're going to get the same performance every week. We saw Kalen DeBoer, to me, lose control after their emotional win. They were getting flagged on the field. They obviously weren't prepared because they were coming into this game thinking of what they have coming later down the schedule. Ole Miss, Texas. They did not pay attention. They got beat down at Vanderbilt. I'm not knocking Kalen DeBoer. They will rebound from that. They will win this game handedly. But it just showed the greatness of Saban. No matter who they played, great team, bad team, you got the same product on the field because he kept them focused over his decades there. I have Alabama winning this one. Either way, though, 44-20, dominating the game, getting things back on track. The next game at 12 p.m. on ESPN. This is kind of a low-key, under-the-radar good one. We have number 10. Welcome back to the top 10, Clemson. They are 4-1. This game's at 12 p.m. They'll be playing 2-3 Wake Forest. If you're thinking that Wake Forest is just going to get curb stomped, they just beat NC State 34-30. Clemson's coming off of a thrashing of Florida State. They won that one 29-13. Right now, Clemson is the obvious favorite here. They have an 87.4% chance to win this game. They are 20-point favorites. View over under here is 60.5. Since the Clemson Tigers got curb stomped by Georgia week 1, this has been a completely different team since week 1. They beat Appalachian State 66-20. They beat NC State 59-35. They beat Stanford 40-14. They beat Florida State 29-30. So what's the common thing that you're seeing there? The offense is a completely different offense. Year 2 under Riley, we're starting to see the massive improvement on the field. Props to Dabo Swinney. Props to Riley. Props to Cade Klubnik. After that Georgia loss, he was getting a lot of slack. He has responded. He's throwing the ball down the field, vertically pushing the ball down the field. That was his biggest weakness. And he's also been using his legs right now. They're averaging 39.4 per game, 175.6 in the air, 196.4 on the ground. Their defense is giving up 23.2. This is the number 17 overall roster according to ESPN. They have a top 10 defense, but look for that average point given up statistic to keep falling throughout the season. As the offense continues to get first downs, continue to score, that defense won't be on the field that long. Wake Forest, though, they don't have a bad offense. They are averaging 30.6 per game, 292 passing yards per game. They're going to look to beat Clemson vertically through the air, but obviously we know Clemson's D-line is going to get so much pressure on Brockmeyer, he's going to be forced into probably making some mistakes, and their defense is pretty bad. They're giving up 31 per game. I have Clemson winning this game pretty handedly, but Wake Forest getting some garbage touchdowns in the second half. I have Clemson win this one 41-20. The next matchup we're looking at 12 p.m. on ESPN2, 4-1 Missouri. They are number 21 right now. Obviously, they're coming off of that beatdown at the hand of the Aggies. They'll be on the road here going to UMass. Missouri's going to UMass. This is a very weird game. UMass right now is 1-5. I think the last 3 years, they've only won like 3 or 4 games total over the last 3 to 4 seasons. They might be one of the worst, the bottom 3 or 5 worst teams in all of the FBS right now. Missouri, they're on the road there. They have a 95.2% chance to win this game. They are 27.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 53.5. Missouri got beat down in College Station. However, don't let that thwart your mind of just how talented this team is. I said this team was overrated, was not a top 10 team. They were bound to lose, but they have a very easy SEC schedule. They can sleepwalk to a 10-2 season. Just because they were overrated at 10 does not mean they're not top 25 worthy. They still have Cook. They still have Noel, Weiss Jr., Burden. They still have a decent defense. Even though they got curb stomped last week, don't let that confuse you. Right now, they're averaging 31.2 per game. They're only giving up 17.8. UMass, their offense is awful. They're averaging 19.2, and they're giving up 31.3. This is the rebound game that the Tigers need, and they're definitely going to take advantage of it. I have Missouri winning this one handedly, 44-10. The next matchup is the Red River Rivalry, one of the best rivalry games in all of sports at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. Number 1, back to number 1, Texas Longhorns, undefeated 5-0 coming off the bye. They'll be playing 4-1 Oklahoma Sooners. They are number 18. Longhorns are heavy favorites here for a rivalry game. 85.1% chance to win this game. They are 14-point favorites. The over-under here is 49.5. Obviously, the quarterback situation with the Longhorns, whether it's Manning, whether it's Ewers, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, let's be honest here. Quinn Ewers has been the better quarterback so far this season than Manning. Everyone crying for Manning. He did great filling in for Ewers. He's still young, but Ewers is the starter once he comes back. He will probably play this game. They are coming off the bye. He should be fully rested, back to being healthy. If he's not, Manning should be able to handle the game either way. Sooners do not give you much confidence offensively. Game one looked great. Since that, it's been steadily declining. They've had a lot of issues on the offensive side, getting first downs, scoring points. Seth Luttrell has a lot to work on right now. He has to figure out something. It got so bad, they benched five-star Jackson Arnold, and they've been rolling with Hawkins Jr. at the quarterback position. He played fine in the last game, but obviously the guy's young, and things did not work out with your primary guy, the one that got all of the heralds coming in, Jackson Arnold. Right now, Texas, they average 45 per game. They throw for 326.4. They run for 191.4. They're only giving up 7 points a game. This team can beat you on offense, defense, special teams. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have Manning. They have Ewers. They have Blue. They have Bond. They have so much skill, talent. And the Sooners have the number 11 roster. They have the talent. Brent Venables has stacked this defense. They have playmakers. They have a very solid team. They have Barnes. They have Burks, Arnold, Hawkins Jr. Doesn't really matter who's at the quarterback position. They're going to have issues moving the ball. Right now, they average 28.6. Solid defense, though, giving up 16 a game. That 14-point spread, to me, is a lot for the Red River rivalry. We know there's been blowouts before. I think Oklahoma shut Texas out back in 21 or 22, something like that. But I don't foresee anyone getting shut out here. Oklahoma's defense is going to keep them in the game long enough to potentially get some fourth quarter points. But I still have Texas winning this one 30-20. This next matchup, this is a fun one. This has Rose Bowl written all over it at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. One of our new Big Ten rivalry games. Number 4 Penn State, undefeated 5-0. They'll be playing 3-2 USC Trojans. Penn State coming off the bye. USC coming off of that close loss to Minnesota that got them kicked out of the top 25. Right now, USC has a 51.9% chance to win this game, but it's Penn State who's the Vegas favorites. 5.5-point favorites, over-unders 47.5. Me personally, I could see this game going either way. This is a 50-50 game to me. I would not be surprised if Penn State won. I would not be surprised if the Trojans pulled the upset. If they have Lincoln Riley, he's the best offensive mind in all of college football, and they have a much improved defense right now under D'Anton Lynn. Looking at Penn State, they average 34.4 per game. They throw for 252.6. They run for 217.8. A very balanced team, and they have a top 10 defense under Tim Allen. They're only giving up 11.4 points a game. That is elite, and they love to shut the run down. They're only giving up 76.2. They're going to force USC to have to beat them vertically through the air. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Moss. He hasn't had his best games last couple games, but we know he's still a really good quarterback. But Penn State can run the ball. They have Singleton. They have Allen. They have one of the best 2 running back punches in the country. They're going to suck up clock. They're going to get physical. Game might be close up to the third quarter, and that's when the physicality might start to wear down USC Trojans. They have Drew Aller. They have Warren. But USC, right now, they average 30.8. They throw for 302. They run for 150. And they have a top 25 defense also. They're only giving up 18.4. Much improved USC defense. Like I said, I would not be surprised who wins this game. I have Penn State winning it 27-24. But if USC won it by the same score, would not surprise me in any way whatsoever, because this game could come down to the final possession. And we know if you give Lincoln Riley the ball at the end, he's very capable of driving his team down the field. The next game, some ACC on Independent at 3:30 p.m. on NBC. 2-3 Stanford. They'll be playing 4-1 number 11 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame is moving their way back up into that top 12. They're trying to position themselves for that playoff run at the very end of the season. And they are heavy favorites here. 96.1% chance to win this game. 24-point favorites. The over-under here is 45.5. Stanford started out the season with a pretty decent offensive performance. If they have Daniels, he's the leading passer. He's a leading rusher. They have a pretty decent wide receiver core for not having too much skill talent on this team. Right now, they're averaging 23 per game, but they have so many turnovers. That's been a massive plague for them in the last 2 seasons. Every time they get first downs, they turn the ball right over. You definitely don't want to do that with this Notre Dame defense. Right now, Stanford also gives up 27.2 for the Irish. They're averaging 32.4. They're throwing for 181.8. They love to keep the ball on the ground. Riley Leonard runs the ball. They have Love at running back. He's great. They're going to get physical. They're going to keep this game in the trenches, and their defense, top 10 defense, only giving up 12.6 points a game. That's what's going to keep Notre Dame in all of these games is their elite defensive play. Al Golden, great coordinator. Denbach, great offense coordinator. But Riley's really testing his skills this season because the guy can't throw. A lot of pressure on Freeman. You have to continue to win. You cannot afford to finish this season 10-2 without a conference championship because you're the independent. That could leave you out of the playoffs. You need to run the table here. You need to beat these teams pretty handily. I've said all year, Riley Leonard, since he was at Duke, the guy can't throw. 55% completion guy for his career. He's not accurate. He only has 3 passing touchdowns through Notre Dame's first 5 games. That's pathetic. His skill set is running the ball. Just run the ball with him. Love, keep it on the ground, play solid defense. I have Notre Dame winning this game easily, 33-13. The next game we're looking at 3:30 p.m. on ESPN, 3-2 Cal coming off of that heartbreaking loss to the Miami Hurricanes. They'll be on the road versus number 22 Pitt Panthers. They are 5-0 right now. Pittsburgh, they have a 68.6% chance to win this game. Pitt is 3-point favorites. The over-under is 59.5. I'd give Cal more of a chance to win this game if they beat the Hurricanes, but they lost fair and square to the Hurricanes. They let them come all the way back. They scored the last 29 to 3 points. That was pathetic. Miami came all the way back. Cal, though, solid performance there for even being up that much. They showed a lot of heart. They have a good defense. They have a top 25 defense. They have a very good secondary. They lead the nation in turnovers. I think they have 11 interceptions so far this season through the first 5 games. That's great. Right now, they average 26 per game. They throw for 262. They run for 131. They're giving up 18. And their skill set is the secondary, pretty decent linebacker core. For Pitt, though, Pat Narduzzi, since he's changed the offensive scheme, this team is lighting it up. They brought in a lot of transfers, and they are moving the ball. Right now, welcome to the top 25. Also, props to them. They're averaging 45.6 points a game. They're going to make a lot of waves in the ACC this season. They're throwing for 356. They're running for 184.4. Defense hasn't played great. They are giving up 25.2, but the offense is going to keep them in all of these games easily. And Cal, after the heartbreaking loss, has to completely travel across the whole country now, all the way to the Northeast. Right now for Pitt, they have Holstein closing in on 600 yards. They have Reed. They have Munfield. They have the weapons. They can throw it. They can run it multiple ways to beat you. And Cal's going to be wore out tired. I have Pitt winning this one 31-24. The next matchup on Fox Sports 1 at 3:30 p.m. 1-4 Purdue Boilermakers. They're probably the worst team in the Big Ten. They'll be playing number 23, the Illinois Fighting Illini, 4-1 coming off the bye. They're going to be well rested. They don't have a great offense, but that defense is legitimate, and they're rested here. You have the Fighting Illini. They have a 91.9% chance to win this game. 19.5-point favorites. It's a pretty good spread for a team that doesn't really score that much. The over-under here is 50.5 for Purdue. They have so many issues on offense. They have Card at quarterback. He hasn't really panned out right now. They're only averaging 18.6 per game, and they're giving up 36.8. So they give up twice as many points as they score. That's definitely going to favor Illinois here. Illinois, they average 27.2. They're throwing for 233.4. They're running for 132.0. And their defense is what's kept them in all of these games. They have a top 15 defense, only giving up 14.2 points a game. Props to Brett Bielema. We know that he loves physical running teams that play special teams, but they're built around their defensive strength at the line of scrimmage. They have Altmaier. He's a experienced veteran quarterback. He's not going to make many mistakes here. They're going to keep the game on the ground. I have the Fighting Illini winning this one 30-13, and the game never being in question. The next game we're looking at is a Big 12 matchup on Fox at 4 p.m. 3-2 Arizona. They'll be up in the mountains playing number 14 BYU, who just continues to move up in the top 25. They are undefeated. They're 5-0. BYU has a 67.7% chance to win this game. They're 5-point favorites here. The over-under is 49.5. You don't want to sleep on Arizona. Utah definitely found that out. This is a team that when they play right, they have Fafita, they have Connolly, they have McMillan. One of the best quarterback wide receiver combos with Fafita and with McMillan. If you sleep on them and they just have a great game, they can light it up. They can score in bunches. They can also not play well. But if you catch them on one of those hot games, They could upset BYU here. BYU has to be prepared to play at home. Right now, Arizona, they average 27 points a game, but they're throwing for 281.2. They're running for 146.2. Their defense is giving up 23.6. But BYU has had a solid, great start to the season. Props to Retzlaff there. They can throw the ball. They're running the ball. Right now, they're averaging 33 points a game, throwing for 254.4, running for 139.2, and solid defensive performance, only giving up 15.8 points a game. They're going to get pressure on the Wildcats. They're going to throw the ball. I have BYU pulling this one out in the fourth quarter, but it's going to be close, winning it 30-23. The next game at 4:15 p.m. on the SEC Network, 1-4 Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby's team, they'll be playing number 5, the Georgia Bulldogs, who sit at 4-1, coming off of that win versus Auburn. Georgia has a 95.2% chance to win this game. 32-point favorites here. The over-under's 53.5. Mississippi State, they're probably the worst team in the SEC right now. They don't have a great offense. They don't have a great defense. But Jeff Lebby did have to completely flip this roster. The jury's still out there. They need to completely rebuild. Right now, they're averaging 27.4 points a game. They're giving up 31.6. A lot of issues on the defensive side. They'll be playing a very deep, very physical Georgia Bulldog team, who, as of right now, ESPN has them as the number 2 overall roster. They want to make up for that loss they had versus Bama, continue to blow teams out, make those wins look as impressive as possible. Right now, they're averaging 32 points a game. That's kind of low for the last couple of years. They're throwing for 299.6. They're running for 131.6. You see a little difference there. Georgia used to be a run-heavy, run-focused line of scrimmage team. They've kind of gotten away from that this year. They're averaging 300 yards to the air. They need to get that number down. They need to run the ball more. Someone has to step up at the running back position. They have Beck. They have NTN. They have Smith. We need a better running back performance. Their leading running back shouldn't have 300 yards after their first 5 games. Focus on the line of scrimmage. That's your specialty. You have a deep offensive line. They didn't perform well versus Bama. We need to see more performance there, especially as you get deeper into SEC play. But Georgia still has a great defense. They're only giving up 14.4 points a game. I have Georgia winning this game, the game never being in question. They win it 42-13. The next game, one of the better rivalries in college football at 7 p.m. on ESPN, 3-2 Florida Gators. They've been 3-1 their last 4 games. They're showing massive improvement on the offensive side, kind of shuffling back and forth between quarterbacks, and they're playing a lot better on defense than last season. Right now, Florida comes in, they're averaging, well, first off, Tennessee has an 86.9% chance to win this game. 15.5-point favorites. The over-under is 53.5. That's a pretty big spread here for a rivalry game. Right now, Florida averages 30.2 points a game. They're giving up 24.4 points a game. The offense is better than last season. The defense is much better than last season. Billy Napier, though, if you drop this one, you drop to 3-3 with an extremely god-awful, extremely difficult second half of the schedule. Almost everyone you play is ranked. They need to win this game because he has to get a bowl game to keep his job. He cannot afford to get 4 to 5 wins this season. That's not going to work. They got to win this one. They have DJ Lagway. They have Mertz. They're both going to see the field deal. They have Montreal Johnson Jr. They have Badger. They have the weapons. They don't have a bad roster by any means, but this schedule is awful. Tennessee, coming off of that loss versus Arkansas, their offense has sputtered the last 2 weeks. We need to see better play out of Nico at the quarterback position, but we know who Josh Heupel is, one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. They will get things sorted out. They're still averaging 46 points a game, 258.6 of the air, 267.2 on the ground. They might be the best, most balanced offense in all of college football right now, and their defense is still top 10. They're only giving up 9.4 points a game. But look at that, only 68 rushing yards per game. That is amazing. They're going to get physical with Florida at the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to shut down Johnson Jr. at the running back position, force Lagway and Mertz to beat them vertically through the air. It's easier said than done, especially when Tennessee's also top 10 in the nation in sacks. Tennessee can beat you on offense, defense, passing, running the ball. Look for their offense to get things back in motion here to win this one 34-17. The next one is the game that we've all been waiting for since the offseason, since Oregon moved to the Big Ten at 7:30 p.m. The game of the weekend, one of the top 3 games of the year on NBC. Number 2, Ohio State Buckeyes, undefeated 5-0. They'll be playing number 3, Oregon, undefeated 5-0. Both teams are well rested. Both teams are rolling right now. For the Buckeyes, they have a 63.7% chance to win this game. Very close spread here. 3-point favorites. Over-under here is 52.5. This is going to be a tough game. The reason that I say that is we know it's going to be loud in Oregon, the loudest stadium in the country. The whole nation's watching. This is going to be a fun game. This could go either way, even though the Buckeyes are the favorites here. I would not be surprised if the Ducks won this game. What I have to say is, with it being able to go anyway, both of these teams right now have top 10 rosters. The Buckeyes come in at number 3, according to ESPN. Oregon comes in at number 5. These teams are legit. Both of these teams are top 10 overall. Both have top 10 offenses. Both have top 10 defenses. And both teams are loaded at the skill positions. When you look at the Buckeyes right now, they average 46 points a game. They're throwing for 293.4. They're running for 222.8. And they're only giving up 6.8 points a game, only 72.6 yards on the ground. The Buckeyes are extremely physical. They have the best defense in all of college football. It's not close. They had the number 3 defense last season. They brought back 8 starters from that defense, and they added to it. They're deeper. They're all veterans. They get after it. They have one of the best coaching staffs. Ryan Day. They have Chip Kelly. They have Knowles. They have the best coordinator staff in the country, a great head coach, and they're deep. You have Will Howard, who's having a great season so far, 1,300 yards, one of the best 1-2 running back punches. You have Quinton Junkins. You have Henderson. You have one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver core. Smith and Egbuka both will be first-round picks. If they can beat you passing, running, they can get physical. The offensive line's been getting better every week. But Oregon, they're not far behind them. They had the Heisman front-runner preseason. Dylan Gabriel hasn't put up the best stats so far this season, but it's a new team, new scheme. We know what he can do. The guy's been playing college football for 10 years now. He's going to light it up. Great quarterback play here. Right now, the Ducks average 35 points a game, 305.2 through the air, 164.4 on the ground, and their defense is only giving up 17 points a game. Both of these teams play solid defense. This is going to be a close game. This is going to be a physical game. This game could come down to the final possession. When you look at Oregon's roster, they have Dylan Gabriel, James, Johnson, Stewart, so much skill position players. Who's going to make the biggest plays in the moments in the fourth quarter? I have the Buckeyes winning this one in a close game, 30-23. With that being said, I do not think this is going to be the final time these teams play. They are very well probably going to play again in the Big Ten Championship, and they could play a third time this season in the playoffs. Both teams are probably going to make the playoffs. Both teams have national championship aspirations right now. It's hard to beat the same team twice. Whoever wins this game could easily then lose in the Big Ten Championship. These teams are very evenly matched. This is going to be a fun one. No matter who wins, it's going to be fun. The next game on ABC at 7:30 p.m., number 9, Ole Miss 5-1, coming off of beating down South Carolina, getting things back on track there after their loss to Kentucky. They'll be playing number 13, LSU, coming off the bye. LSU is 4-1. As of right now, the Rebels are the favorite, 67.6% chance to win this game. 3-point favorites here, a high over-under. This game's going to have some points. The over-under here is 64.5. Looking at Ole Miss, we know they have Lane Kiffin. He got everything back on track this past weekend. They had that close loss at home to Kentucky. They got everyone back together. They got the offense back on track. They beat South Carolina down. Right now, Ole Miss, they have one of the best offenses in all of college football. They're averaging 44 points a game. They're throwing for 383.2. They're running for 204. And in elite defense, they're only giving up 7.5 points per game. They have the skill position players. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss put everything into the transfer portal, brought in the number 1 transfer portal class. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They have Jackson Dart. They have Parrish Jr. at running back, closing in on 600 yards. They have Trey Harris closing in on 900 yards through the first 6 games. They have one of the best quarterback, running back, wide receiver combos in the nation. But LSU, we know they have a top 10 overall roster. They have Nussmeier, they have Anderson. They're averaging 35.2 per game, throwing for 243, running for 130. Defense played really good the USC game. Kind of took a couple steps back the next couple games, but last game, they got the defense back on track. They're giving up 21.6. There's going to be points here. This game could go either way. It's in LSU. That does favor them there. But I think Ole Miss continues to roll here. I have Lane Kiffin and squad pulling this one out. A one-possession win goes down to the wire in the fourth quarter. I have them winning this one 38-30. This next one's actually a pretty evenly matched one at 8 p.m. on Fox. 5-0 undefeated Iowa State just outside the top 10. They're number 11. They'll be playing 3-2 West Virginia, coming off of a beatdown of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Right now, Iowa State has a 54.6% chance to win this game. They are the Vegas favorites, 3-point favorites. Over-unders 51.5. Iowa State is physical. They run the ball. They play great defense. Right now, they're averaging 31.2. They're throwing for 248.8. They're running for 183.4. And their defense, the best defense in the Big 12. It would probably be between them and Utah, but as of right now, they have the edge, only giving up 10 points a game. They are physical. Matt Campbell, great coach. This team is deep. This team is physical. They seek to wear you out over four quarters. They have Becht. They have Jackson. They have Noel. But West Virginia, they're 3-2. They're a lot better than that 3-2 record. This is a team that won 8 or 9 games last season. Neil Brown and squad, they're going to catch fire second half. Right now, they have Green. They have Donaldson Jr. They have Clement. They're averaging 33 per game. This was one of the best running teams in the nation last season, and they're getting hotter on the ground right now. They're throwing for 225.8. They're running for 223. That's very balanced, and their defense has been playing better as of late. They're only giving up 25.6. Iowa State, physical team, great defense. Defense travels on the road to West Virginia, but I think the undefeated streak ends here. I have upset West Virginia pulling this one out on the ground, winning this one 27-24 and getting the upset. The next game is going to be some of the best skill position talent playing. This one's going to be fun to watch. There could be potential. This game could be a shootout. At 10:15, it's a late one on ESPN. Number 18, Kansas State, 4-1. They'll be visiting 4-1 Colorado Buffaloes. If the Buffaloes pull off this win, they'll no doubt be in the top 25 next week. As of right now, Kansas State has a 52.1% chance to win this game. They are 4-point favorites here. The over-under is 56.5. K-State, very well-balanced team, very physical team, one of the more physical teams in the Big 12. They also seek to beat you over four quarters. They might find themselves down first, second quarter, but their goal is to seize the game second half. They're averaging 31.4. They're throwing for 285.2. They're running for 252.2 yards per game. They're one of those teams, they're going to ground and pound. They run with the quarterback, with the running back, and they have skilled guys at both positions. They have Avery Johnson, the highest recruited guy in Kansas State history. He throws it, but he runs with purpose, and he is fast. And they have DJ Giddens closing in on 700 yards through the first 5 games. They love to run the ball. In the past, since last season, that was Colorado's weakness, was the line of scrimmage on both sides, giving up a lot of yards on the ground. They're much improved this season, but K-State is going to test that. They don't care what the stats say. They're going to seek to run the ball down your throat. Solid defense, giving up 19.6 points a game. But we know Colorado is an offensively focused team. They're going to seek to challenge Kansas State's secondary. Question is, can the offensive line buy Shedeur Sanders enough time to find Travis Hunter and Horn down the field to be able to push the ball vertically down the field? Right now, they're averaging 31 points a game, throwing for 349, running for 80.6. That's not a good rushing stat. Far better than last season where they were awful. They are better this year at the running position, but if you can't run on K-State, they're going to be teeing off on your quarterback. Like I said, very physical team, but Colorado is a much improved team. They had their best win. They didn't play last week. The week before when they beat UCF, that was their best win of the year so far. Very well-balanced, complete win, and their defense is giving up 23 points a game. This game could go either way. Could come down to that final possession, but I have K-State's physicality winning it in the fourth quarter when it matters. Then winning this one 31-27, but it's going to be a fun one. And our final top 25 game, so late, but it's in Hawaii. At 11 p.m. on CBS, 4-1 Boise State, number 17. They'll be visiting 2-3 Hawaii. Right now, Boise State has a 88.2% chance to win this game. 21-point favorites. The over-under 61.5. When you watch Boise State, you get to watch one of the most electrifying players in all of college football completely obliterate teams single-handedly. Right now, Boise, They're averaging 50.6 points a game. They have the number one offense in college football. They're throwing for 240.4. They're running for 301.2 yards per game. That is ridiculous. Their defense is giving up 30 points a game. That's pretty bad, but look for that number to continue to come down as they continue to suck up clock with the running game. And it's all centered around Ashton Gentry, the best running back in all of college football, the best player in all of college football for the 2024 season. He might break a lot of rushing records and touchdown records this season. Right now, their first 5 games, he has 1,031 rushing yards. He has 16 touchdowns. That is video game numbers right now, but it's happening in the real world. He's running on everyone, and he's only playing the first half of these games. Great, fun to watch. If you're up, definitely make sure to watch him. Even if you have to go to bed at 12, he'll probably from 11 to 12, he'll probably at least have 150 yards. And then you have Hawaii. They average 24.2. They're giving up 19. Not a bad team at all. I'm sorry, you're going to get run up and down the field. I have Boise State winning this one 44-21. So that's our breakdown. That's our predictions for all of our top 25 games for week 6 of the 2024 college football season. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments about these games or any other ones, drop them below and I will respond. Thank you.